Yes, another YouTube video created to show something less practical than the most common sense way to operate a light. A switch.
Oh wait, let me back up. I just realized I didn't explain what's going on. So first of all, what's good, y'all? Recently I posted a video on my mom coming over and not really being able to control the lights in my smart home, and how I had to create like this workaround for her to go and do it. A lot of you mentioned that, hey, you should have used a switch, and I agree with you. A switch would have been the best thing to use. I'm going to go into a little bit of depth around that, but first I want to give some context for those of you that haven't seen the video, and then go over the comments that I saw talking about it. My mom came over for about a week, and we had prepared a room for her, but she didn't want it. She was having some back issues and she asked to sleep on the couch. Now, this was a deviation from what we typically have because we have a room set up for guests, and our guests don't typically sleep in the living room. As a result, since she came over and was sleeping there, we found out, or she found out, we all found out, that there was no physical controls for the ambient light. The ambient lights turn on and off automatically at specific times of the day. It's also a very, very dumb strip light. So there's no apps for it. There's no cool connections or remote. It's just a dumb light switch or strip. To give my mom access, I created an app for her using Node-RED. Like, it lets you create a dashboard that can control whatever you want it to control. Like, you get to create this dashboard. This is completely web-based, so as long as they're on your Wi-Fi network, they will have access to it. Really cool, very simple, 100% would recommend.
Great idea. I spent my afternoon creating a dashboard for my wife. Thanks for giving enough detail. Very much appreciated.
You're very welcome. I'm so glad that this actually worked out. This is the whole point of me kind of sharing this information. I want to push out new ideas and give people additional tools for their tool belt.
If you have Wi-Fi or Zigbee connected light switches, you can also group the ambient light with this, or create an automation so that they can be controlled together. This is especially handy if you use dimming switches.
Very true. You can control them together. And I do have smart switches that I can technically bind together with it. The reason why I avoided that route is because of the purpose of the ambient light. My wife was the one that requested the ambient light like a while back, almost a year ago. It would set the mood for our daughter. She's very hyper, so we want to kind of visibly change the mood of the house so that way she can start to wind down. By connecting it to the house lights, then essentially it's going to be either all the lights are on or all the lights are off. But if you do have, let's say, a double rocker switch, definitely something that could be done.
This sounds like a job for guest mode, which disables those automations that become difficult for guests to interact with.
Patrick, I notice your comments every time. You have your name stands out to me. Thanks for watching, and also thanks for commenting. So I guess what Patrick is getting at is that if you have guest mode, then no matter who is there in the house or whatever the case is going on, knowing that, let's say that ambient light is something that doesn't have a switch and a switch can't be assigned to it, then that guest mode would simply disable that light so it won't turn on, and they won't have to deal with that friction point of needing to turn it off but having to go to an app or some other place. Like, this would solve that. And technically you are 100% Patrick. That would have worked in this situation.
You mentioned that you had previously made a shared desktop for guests for music parties. Can you show it?
Check the link in the description. I will post it there. It should walk you through the entire process, and I think there's actually code that you can download and install or import into Home Assistant, or into Node-RED, sorry, to get it going, more or less.
Just realized I'm not ready for this platform. I love the ready-made dumb home app with third-party dedicated apps for my devices.
I feel you on that. This is not for everyone. I'm not saying that everyone should go out and do this. I'm simply showing others there's a different way of doing things.
Yes, another YouTube video created to show something less practical than the most common sense way to operate a light, a switch. I stopped watching it when I heard Node-RED.
Seeing this makes me sad, because I feel like you missed out on something that could help you later on down the line. Maybe this is just me. This is probably my philosophy. I like learning technical information. And by learning these things, it essentially gives me a new way of thinking and approaching problems. As you've probably seen on this channel, there's a lot of automations that I come up with, or different ways that I go about using the tech that seems maybe unorthodox or different. Even if it's not relevant to me, I try to absorb it and find the things that are relevant. I enjoy the process, and I'm simply just passing this information along to you. The same way that I like watching this type of information, I'm just hoping that other people would enjoy and appreciate it. The whole idea of this video was, if a physical switch was not available, what do you do? Like, how would you solve this problem? Again, I agree with you guys that yes, a switch would have been the most ideal thing, but in the event that you didn't have a switch, what would be the second next best thing that you could use? And sure, yeah, using an app, I agree, it would be a little bit more cumbersome and not ideal. It could be complicated depending. For instance, those of you that have like the Apple, the newer version of the iPhone, and you have that action button, for instance, for my mom, she could have had the action button, double clicked it, and then it just sent her right into the app. And that would have been like super quick, super easy, very straightforward. Or even double clicking it would have just triggered a webhook that would just toggle the lights on and off. Also very simple and easy. But as you see, like that line of thinking, that comes from stuff like what I've just done, where you take all the things that you know, all the tools and things that are available, and then you find other ways to attack it, other ways of introducing those technologies into the problem and create a solution out of it. I think what's fun about all of this is just the different ways that we go about solving things. And it's cool, and I like the fact that there's a population of people that aren't like myself, and they can drive to the heart of the problem to find the simplest, most straightforward solution. That is always necessary, because if it was left to people like me, we'd be doing the wildest things. So it's good that you have these checks and balances. So I still appreciate you guys.